Good morning, everyone. I hope we are doing well. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, you are.
Very.
My day's poem is inspired by the song "It Is Well with My Soul." That we result this year, that whatever it is that is going to come our way, we are ready to give thanks and to say it is well. The song goes like, "It is well when peace like a river attended my way." So my day's poem is "Count It All Joy." You see, when trials come and storms arise, lift your gaze to the brighter skies, for joy will come. Though sorrows are bound to happen, count it all joy. When it is dark and your heart feels weak, your strength of hope is what we seek. A light within, a throat to speak, count it all joy. You see, the road is long. It is going to be very long. And the steps are going to be steep, but you need to endure. And you have to know that you need to count it all joy. When burdens weigh and the spirits fall, remember that joy can conquer it all. Raise your heart above the ground and heed to the call to say, I count it all joy. You see, every challenge holds a seed that needs to be buried to grow. Count it all joy, because your joy is the water that it needs to grow. Count it all joy. Your dreams might feel lost. You might feel that you hold no meaning. But this season, count it all joy, because a new dawn is coming. Count it all joy. I know that pain may speak, it may speak louder than joy, but I want to tell you that let joy shout louder and say, I count it all joy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lucita. I count it all joy. Thank you. Thank you. Asante sana. So, guys, this week, let's count it all joy. It just helps you to have a very positive um what point of view towards life and everything that you do. So, Odiambo Olale, are you in the house? I'd like you to introduce the guest of the day.
Yeah, the umbrella is there.
I saw
From
him, but
the last I checked.
Good morning,
good.
everyone. Sorry for the tech delay. Um, I hope you're all well this morning, and we're ready for the this very interesting topic. Our speaker today is Elsie Kagimbi, who is a mother, a wife, a daughter, and a champion for growth. She is a registered counselor, marriage and family therapist, practicing an eclectic therapeutic approach. She is a certified emotional intelligence educator with 6 seconds and a certified professional mediator with Dispute and Conflict Resolution International. She is an educator and a director at Mount Longonot Schools in Naivasha, a devoted Christian, a truth seeker, and a member of the Toastmasters International. She enjoys reading good books and watching investigative programs. Her professional goal is to empower her clients by helping them recognize and nurture their innate capacity to rise when they make deliberate and appropriate choices. Her therapeutic services include individual therapy, group therapy, marriage and premarital therapy, adolescent counseling, family therapy, grief therapy, inner child healing, and character coaching. She's deeply committed to youth mentorship and has established an organization known as Glowing Generation Africa, Within this initiative, her unwavering passion lies in the empowering of young individuals by providing them with exposure to the myriad of opportunities available to them, guiding them through exploration of these opportunities and ultimately equipping them to make a lasting impact within their community. Her aspiration is to play an integral role in the transformative process that enables people to effect meaningful change in the world as they embark on a journey to SOAR, which stands for Stretch, Overcome, and Rise. She believes that freedom is a lifetime practice, a choice we get to make again and again on a daily basis. But that is who she is. Welcome, and you can now go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, Othiambo. Yes, that is me. Happy New Year, everybody. I'm happy to be here this morning. Glad to be part of this initiative. Thank you, OPP, for the invitation. So today, I'm hoping to have or this morning, I'm hoping that we're going to have an interactive session where we're going to talk about children's safety in school environments. And I start with a riddle, and I need somebody to give me an answer. You ask this question all day long, but always get completely different answers, and yet all the answers will be correct. What is this question? I need an answer to my question.
Let's put the answer in the chat. Could that be, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm
Yeah.
not fine. Maybe I'm fine I'm not fine in the morning, but I'll be fine at midday. And yeah.
Yeah, somebody said, how are you? How are you? How was your day? That's JM and Eric Munene. Yes, we can put our answer there.
Okay. So let me see the answers.
They're the same. How are you?
How are you? How was your day?
Yes.
What's your purpose? Yeah.
What's your purpose?
What's this question?
But always get completely different answers.
I'm yet to get it.
Who are you?
Who am I? It's also possible. Yes. Who am I?
I'm a wife, I'm a husband, I'm a wife.
They can also unlock. I mean, unmute. Unmute and give the answer. You don't have to type if you can't.
The unmuting, sometimes we get chaotic. That's why we regulate.
Oh, that's okay. It is well. Yeah. Okay, so the question is, should I give the answer now? OPP?
Yes.
NK has spoiled for me.
Oh, that's the time.
The answer. What time is it? And I also felt like I gave the answer when I responded the first time. Yeah, what time is it? So welcome everybody to this presentation. I'm praying that it's going to be an interactive session where I also learn from you. So don't think that I have all the answers. You also have the answers. And so as an introduction, whenever we are taking our children to school, of course, safety is something we are very concerned about, whether it's in the school or whether it's on their way to school. That's normally on top of our head, and it's there for parents and even guardians. And even for in school, if those programs are going to be implemented successfully, safety and security in these educations are a must. And it's the sole responsibility of the school to make sure that the place is safe and secure. So schools must recognize that it is important for them to be vigilant, for them to protect the children. Even while these guidelines call for a fair amount of accountability from schools, addressing the student safety issue holistically is crucial. So for me, I look at it wholly, not just making it the school administration, the teachers, or the people in school, their response. It's a holistic venture. So to provide a safe learning environment, this necessitates proactive collaboration in establishment and monitoring of safety protocols relevant to resources, transportation, infrastructure, and the mental and physical well-being of these children who are in school and also of the school property. When I think of school safety, I think of it as a collaborative responsibility of all stakeholders. And that's from the individual himself or herself. So there are various factors of a school that can impact the safety in school. Let's look at the very inner one. That's the child's immediate surroundings, which include the family, the school itself, the neighborhood, or the childcare. If the family is supportive, for example, if there's open communication in family, there's a tendency that there'll be a reduction on harmful behaviors with the child. Open communication where you talk as a family unit. Then you're able to identify, somebody might say something and you're like, this is not okay. And as a parent or a guardian, you'll know what to do. Let's go outer. There's that relationship between the child's family and the school. How involved are these parents in this child's school? And that's why even in CBC, we have parental involvement. Learners with strong family-school connections have been reported to have better guidance and engaged in fewer risky behaviors. Level of parental involvement makes a lot of difference. I know there's a school in my son's high school. I'm involved in the mentorship program, and I thank God it topped the country because we are so involved as parents in that mentorship program. I must say it is honestly working. So every month we are going to the school as parents and we are mentoring these children, and we can testify that it's making a difference. So how involved are you as parents in the school and what's going on in school? Now let's go outer. There's the perception of the school environment by teaching and the non-teaching staff. Here I'm looking at the morale of the staff. How motivated are they? What's the staff morale in that school? Then I go outer, there's the social structure in which this child lives, the cultural values, the social norms, the economic conditions. All these have an implication of the safety in school. And then finally, the changes in family structure. We have an increase in divorce cases, we have displacement, or even death in the family. All this will impact the social and behavioral outcome, and they impact the school safety in one way or another. So we can't just say it's one thing, it's a lot of factors. The fact remains that a school setting that is dangerous and insecure for both the learners and the staff members cannot support meaningful teaching and learning. It has to be a place where there's security, there's that, the sense of danger is not there for them to actually teach us to teach and for the learners to learn. To promote greater student enrollment, retention, completion, attainment of high grades or education, and also high quality education, the stakeholders must create a safe and secure learning environment. So there's a manual. I don't know how many of you have gotten a hold of it, but after this, you can look for this manual. It's called the Safety Standards Manual for Kenyan School, or for schools in Kenya. And it provides input so that we may make improvements on behalf of our learners. It is a document that schools should use to maintain safe, secure, and caring environment that fosters teaching and learning. I found it very rich in information, and I invite you to look at it at your own free time. It presents a timely rallying point for Kenyans to reflect on child safety both in and out of school. So everybody, whether you're a head of institution, the school management committee, or board of directors, teachers, parents, guardians, legislators, all of you need to be familiar with this document. This manual was developed by the Ministry of Education in collaboration with Church World Service and other stakeholders for application nationwide. And it gives Kenyans an opportunity to come together to dialogue and agree on common standards for child protection. So let's talk about this learner. This learner goes to school from, say, 8 to 3 o'clock. So much of their day is spent in school. It's important that the ambience in school remains positive and nurturing, and the student safety is ensured along with the children feeling safe and secure among their care providers. Learning and safety go hand in hand. Learners cannot learn to the best of their abilities if they believe that they're not receiving enough help and physically and emotionally they are not safe. So if they're going to learn, then that has to be a factor. So it's a responsibility of the school to ensure that they arrive in school with a sense of security and acceptance, that they maintain a relationship of trust with at least one adult at school, and they clearly comprehend academic and behavioral expectations, and they possess the ability to access mental health services. If schools can do this then that would be a plus plus. So high quality education is just as vital as effective school safety measures, such as anti-bullying regulations, which should be completely incorporated into the school strategy and planning. I'm hoping that my audience or those participating, if you have any question, comment, feel free to write it in the chat or even raise a hand and we can talk and discuss. So at any point, remember I said I needed to be interactive. So when you're talking of school safety, we seek to provide opportunities for the learner to exploit and maximize their potential for learning, growth, and development. We are seeking to provide opportunity for the learners to participate in enhancing school. They shouldn't just be one way. They also need to participate in enhancing the school safety. We also seek to promote and maintain and contribute to the understanding of child and staff safety. It has to be two-way. The child needs to be safe and the staff also need to be safe. We seek to provide a benchmark for monitoring and appraising the safety status of schools. So it has to be a continuous thing where you're monitoring and evaluating and saying, what do we need to uphold, what we need to change here and there. That's what we are seeking for. We are seeking to empower members of the school community to handle disasters and thus minimize risks. If they know what to do, then when the disaster happens, they are prepared. So that's a plus plus. We seek to provide first-line emergency services to learners and staff who become victims of injury or are taken ill. So people are not just wondering or waiting for somebody to come in, and in case of an emergency situation, they know exactly what it is they need to do. We also seek to counsel, guide, and advise learners and staff on issues relating to school safety. We also seek to empower the school to liaise with parents, members of the community, and other partners in order to increase awareness about issues related to school safety. And finally, we seek to forge alliances and networks that enhance school and child safety. So that's what it is we're talking about when we're talking about school safety. So I have a question, and I'm hoping you can respond to this question. What do you think are some of the threats our children face in schools? I'm hoping my audience can respond.
Yes, people can respond. We can put them in the chat. Bullying is one of them. People have said, the Empolale said bullying. There is also rape. I just heard in some school, where a teacher impregnated a young school primary girl.
Yeah, very unfortunate, very sad.
Psychological abuse, drug and alcohol abuse from Brenda Ochieng.
Yeah, substance abuse.
Yeah. Psychological abuse.
Psychological abuse. Yeah. Bullying, lesbianism is a big thing. Yeah.
Overcrowding.
Overcrowding and poor ventilation. Yeah. Unsafe buildings. Vaccination without parental consent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Emotional insults. Thank you. Thank you, participants, for the feedback. I don't take it for granted. I can see we are together. Thank you all. I'll just highlight about 5 or 6 of them. Threats to school safety are either internal or external. They're either within the school or from without, outside the school. One of them is school accidents, and these are caused by human beings, you and I, whether carelessness, inattentiveness, ignorance, irresponsibility, negligence on the part of the learners, staff, or other stakeholders. When we are doing this, accidents are likely to happen. And these injuries are caused, for example, when there's a slippery floors where there's water all over and somebody slips and there are no hazards. You know, those where you put and say wet floor. So walk carefully, you know, wet greasy spots, clutter on the floor. You go to a class and you're looking at a class and wondering, how do these people survive? Because it's clutter all over. And even how do they sit or even learn? You go to the dormitories, you're looking at it and wondering, how do they even find their things? Clutter all over. Poorly placed furniture, such as desks, benches, and tables. Weak railings. Insufficient lighting. Sitting carelessly on desks, e.g. with feet blocking the aisles or the paths. Where there's no ventilation, the ventilation is poor. And where there are sharp instruments. Negligence and failure to conduct regular inspections has led to such accidents. So there needs to be that vigilance. That's what I said initially from the school, to notice some of these things. Are there sockets which are loose where a child might go and touch electrical sockets and get electrocuted? Those are some of the. How is a swimming pool? Is a swimming pool gate locked? And or is it likely that a child is just going to walk in and drown? Those are some of the things we are talking about. Secondly, school violence and harassment. It takes the form of teacher on learner violence or learner on learner violence. We talked about bullying. Teacher on learner violence takes the form of physical violence, such as corporal punishment, which is a no-no, a big no-no. The sexual assault, like Olale has just mentioned, like OPP has just reminded us, twisting and pulling of ears, slapping and pinching. You know, some teachers also emotionally abuse learners. Somebody talked of psychological abuse. You hear, you'll never amount to anything. What are you capable of? You know, you're just like your fathers if the person has a back history of you, where you come from, where you hail from. Through verbal abuse and harassment, taunts, and even belittling, nothing much can come from you. So here is a learner who knows they have potential. Maybe they're good at singing or telling poem, like the lady who just gave us a very wonderful poem. And that's very encouraging. Thank you, OPP, for giving her the opportunity to keep saying poems. No, she's exercising her talents, her gifting, which is good. So here she is, maybe a child is gifted in one way, but is struggling, for example, in mathematics or sciences. So you find a teacher belittling this child instead of enabling this child to blossom and unlock the potential that they have. These abuses and harassment affect the learner's ego and self-esteem. She keeps looking at a child. I know the other day, last year, because I haven't resumed my services, I had a learner from one of the schools in Nairobi, and he has this challenge of bedwetting. So and he's in Form 3. He was in Form 3 last year, so now he's in Form 4. And one of the things the school is doing that is really affecting his self-esteem is all the bedwetters are being put in one room. So regardless of whether you're a Form 1 or a Form 3 student, they're being put there. And even the way they are talked to, the way they are handled is totally unacceptable. So you can imagine this child's ego, even as he came to my therapy room, he's so down, he's crying and saying, this is not right. I don't like the way the teachers are talking to me. He has potential, but because I could see there's a direction his life is taking. But because of the teachers handling him, the way they're handling him, he's getting affected. His self-esteem is so low and wants the parents to change. So the mother is saying, look here, I'm hustling. Even the money I have, I'm paying is from the counties. I've gone and asked for support. So when you tell me to take you to another school, where am I getting the money from? So you can already tell the mother is not so economically empowered to move the child to another school. But here is a child who has to stay there and go through this treatment. And I had to intervene and say, no, 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 this has to stop. And I'm hoping this year I'll follow up and see how he's doing, because it is not right. He's being harassed because of a condition that he has and that is being taken care of medical. And the interesting thing is that he wets his bed when he's in school, but when he's at home, he doesn't wet his bed. So you can already tell where the problem is. On the other hand, learner-on-learner violence is often characterized by physical attacks, sexual assault, and even bullying. All these are illegal. Then there's a lack of adequate healthcare and nutrition. Good healthcare and nutrition are essential to effective learning. So childhood diseases and other ailments such as malaria and worm infections have major implications for school attendance, retention, and participation. So you find the child who's healthy will attend class more often, is able to be attentive, even participate. If it's in games, is able to go for PE and in class participate and talk or do what needs to be done. But a child who's ailing or is hungry, simply because of where they come from, then it can be very challenging. And this impacts the learning of this learner. Learners suffer from ill health and malnutrition, are susceptible to accidents or body injuries. Problems relating to health are also compounded by increasing incidence of substance abuse among learners, child pregnancy because they engage in risky behaviors, female circumcision, and even HIV and AIDS pandemic. The fourth one is a lack of sensitivity to sexual maturation challenges, because the children get to a certain age where they are maturing differently, and puberty may delay in some, while for others it may come early. And there are those challenges that these children go through. So they become anxious and can increase, and as they become anxious, they're not able to focus on their learning. So adolescents may not have adequate knowledge or skills to protect themselves from unwanted pregnancy and safe abortion and even STIs. So if we lack this sensitivity to address some of these things, then it's likely to cause insecurity. And then we have armed conflicts and insecurity. So we have incidents of land or ethnic clashes, political violence, and cattle rustling in certain parts of this country, which have direct or even indirect impacts on teaching and learning of the children. You even find that simply because I'm from a different ethnic community and we've moved to this community, even within the school, you can see the child going through the harassment that I was talking about. So a number of schools affected by insecurity have had their teaching processes interrupted through closure, and parents and guardians are unlikely to send their children to school that are deemed insecure. Finally, hostile school environment. A school environment that does not accommodate the welfare of its learners or neglects the needs of its learners, especially girls or children with disabilities, orphans, and other children with special need, reflects a school that is uncaring. For example, do they have facilities where you can, if you're seated on a wheelchair, you can actually be able to use the ramp is that facility there in some of these schools. In addition, good interpersonal relationship in schools are key to fostering good teaching and learning processes. I've really talked about that a lot, and I hope if you hear nothing else, just hear that if there's going to be good teaching and learning to continue in school, then there needs to be that safety. How do you learn? How do you know that a school is safe? There's a high retention rate. There's focus in teaching and learning. There is also visible strategies in promoting the rights of children as provided in the Convention on the Rights of Child and Children's Act. There are high levels of interaction between everybody in school. So it's not just the school administrator. There's interaction between the school administrators, the teachers, the learners, the sponsors, the parents and guardians, the community. So you can see it's a whole thing. Everybody is involved. There's active participation of the community in school programs. There's visible presence of key stakeholders, for example, government officials, private schools representatives, religious leaders, parents and guardians. All of them, they're involved in the school for the psychological and spiritual needs of these learners and the staff. There's also adequate and well-maintained facilities such as toilets and sanitation facilities, clearly demarcated school grounds with proper fencing and secure gates and boundaries. There's an environment where it's free from drugs and substance use, and abuse. There's also trafficking and illegal hawking, and there's also low incidence of indiscipline. That's how we can say that the school is safe, if we can see this happening. So I have another question. How do we address this student safety issue holistically? How do we do that? And I can see Otiambo Olale has given us a question there. And I hope I'll address it. We can address it. Oh, Pipi, do we address it now or?
We always try to address them at the end
Okay.
so that you try to finish fast. Otherwise, questions never end at times.
It is well. It is well. Othiambo Olale will go back to this question. For now, the question we have is, how do we address the student safety issue holistically? I see policy guidelines. Olale says having a strong Christian foundation by invoking all stakeholders. Child protection is an official training. Stakeholder engagement, providing for where all stakeholders meet. A forum, providing a forum where all stakeholders meet, and deliberate and exchange thoughts. I agree, All these are things I could also input. Yes, I'm learning also. There's never an end to learning. So these are, the more I thought about it, the more I said, you know what, let me summarize it into a few points. When we look at the safety standards manual, it sets out the standards and guidelines, because somebody here has just mentioned guidelines that a school should put in place to enhance child safety. And according to that manual, the key components are listed there. There needs to be safety on school grounds, safety in physical infrastructure, health and hygiene safety, safety in school environment, food safety, safety against drug and substance abuse, safe teaching and learning environment, socio-cultural environment of the school, safety of children with special needs or disabilities, safety against child abuse, transportation safety, disaster risk reduction, and then school community relations. All this have to be in place for us to talk about safety. The more I thought about it, I said, how can I summarize it? So this is how I summarized it. Schools must have plans in place to ensure the safety of the learners in school in these 5 areas. The staff recruitment process, psychosocial safety, physical safety, transport safety, and visitor safety. This is what I mean. In the staff recruitment process, how do we engage the employees we have in our school? So when it comes to recruiting the teaching and non-teaching staff, there are many good reasons to conduct pre-employment background checks for the safety of all, the safety of learners and also the safety of the employees. So you don't just engage anybody who walks in with a very beautiful or rich CV or resume and say it is well your own. What background checks have you done? Verifications should include place of residence, past employment, checking for any criminal records they may be having, as well as ongoing criminal cases. Who are these? We need to know who is this person you're bringing on board as part of the staff. This will help the school in screening people who come in contact with the learners within the school premises, including teachers, administrators, sports coaches, security guards, cleaning staff, volunteers, even those casual laborers who come. Do your screening. It's very important as a school. Secondly, psychosocial safety. The emotional and psychosocial maltreatment destroys a child's sense of self and personal safety. Schools must provide the right ambience to develop and enrich the gifts and talents to facilitate the total development of the child's personality. You would realize that children who have been exposed to violence tend to be aggressive, dissociative reactions, helplessness, depressed, or even have a low emotional intelligence. But where there's effective school safety policies such as anti-bullying, then you find that there's high quality education, and you find that the child is able to maneuver or stay in school better. At Mount Longonot schools, for example, we have zero tolerance for bullying, whether it's teacher-student, student, or teacher-teacher, it's zero tolerance. We don't tolerate bullying. By placing CCTV cameras in key spots across the school compound, it would be possible to continuously monitor and capture our learners' daily activities there. In school, in case there's any investigations that need to be made, the CCTV cameras come in very handy, and also they act as deterrents. Schools need to be alert and also watch for any kind of child abuse. This includes physical abuse, medical abuse, sexual abuse, neglect, emotional abuse. They need to be so alert. The staff need to be trained on the main signs of child abuse and also be equipped on how to quickly respond to this inappropriate or harmful conduct. Under the Children's Act of 2001, it is a crime to subject any child to any form of child abuse. And that is why all the factors that reflect child abuse, including early marriage, female genital mutilation, caning, child labor, discrimination against a child, whether it's a boy or a girl, should be addressed as a matter of agency. So with urgency, we don't just ignore it. If we notice it, please take action immediately. All parents and guardians need to be very keen on the safety of their children and be very vigilant against practices that constitute child abuse. That way the learners will feel trusted and will be able to focus on what really matters, and that is to unlock their potential. Schools need to normalize mental health. Let's not make it a mystery or a secret. Mental health is important. And you can imagine if at that level, children learn to normalize mental health and to use available resources to cope with their life stresses, realize their abilities, learn well, work well, and even contribute to the community, then it would make all the difference. Because then they know I don't have to keep quiet if I'm having a child. I can speak up. I have a voice. I can articulate and say, I am struggling with this, and somebody is readily available to listen to them. So when addressing violence and harassment incidents, prompt action is necessary. We also learners need to be taught safety rules, such as accepting food from strangers, not accepting food from strangers. There are those no-nos, buying those cookies at the gate, which you don't know what they are laced with. They need to know that if I'm to buy something, I need to buy from somebody who is well-meaning, somebody who is not giving us drug-laced cookies. They also need to be taught about their bodies so they can understand the different changes that are happening. So when they get to that adolescent stage, they're not insecure, but they are okay as they continue to grow and develop. Physical safety, we're talking about the facilities and the infrastructure. Sometimes you find that the materials that has been used is of low quality because the quality and the quantity of the materials has been compromised, and this can endanger lives. This may include poorly constructed classrooms and playing grounds, insufficient and broken down toilet facilities, gender insensitive location of toilets and bathroom facilities, and even inadequate and inappropriate desks. So we need to ensure that all these facilities are taken care of and they are safe and secure. Are the windows locked? And the windows and the locks being used, are they secure? How are the sports facilities? Are they safe? And this can be done through regular inspection. The building must have a life safety in mind, where we know that the staircase rails are secure and firm. They're not falling over, where somebody can, if they lean on the rails, then they fall and it's dangerous. Are the electric sockets safe? How about the ramps? Are they available? The teaching and non-teaching staff and even the administration must be aware of how to handle themselves during man-made or natural disaster. So they need to be familiar with emergency procedures and equip themselves with essential safety skills. For example, do they know how to use the fire extinguishers? Are they involved during the drills, the fire drills? And also it's important for schools to prepare handouts and even posters on emergency procedures. When we talk of transport, we're talking about managing the transport system in school. Can it be real time where the children, in case there's any delay, is it possible for the people on board to inform the parents and guardians where the child is? The vehicles need to be in good quality and the drivers must be experienced. The buses that are being used have to have experienced conductors for assisting the driver and children properly. The police verification for all drivers and conductors is important. Vehicles have to be partitioned for the driver and the students, and there needs to be a proper place where at the end of the day, the school driver can rest as they wait for the next route, whether it's at the end of the day, and even be able to clean the buses because the buses need to be clean. There also needs to be CCTVs in the buses that the buses can be monitored, and this needs to be maintained by the school, not by the vendors. The staff, whether it is additional staff like the guards and female helpers, need to be on duty and have a mobile phone to communicate with the parents. Drivers should only concentrate on driving, while those behind there are the ones who are taking care of the students. And if they're sitting, they need to sit facing the learners. Most of this transport, I see them facing outside. They need to be positioned in such a way that they're looking at the learners for their safety and knowing where is who and what are they doing to avoid any mischief. And or sit at the back as opposed to sitting at the front. The teachers on bus must ensure that all students are seated throughout the journey and that they're wearing their safety belts and that they only get up when they reach the point of destination. And then the senior staff need to do surprise travels to observe how they're doing. And finally, the visitor safety at the gate. How do people get access to the compound? Is there a book they sign in? Are they given a badge? How about somebody who's leaving the school, for example, a student, and it's a boarding school? Are they given a slip, where a permission slip to allow the learner to leave, or do they just leave as they want? And is there a slip to allow them to come back? If they're late, do they have a handwritten slip? All these are control measures and are important, and they can make all the difference. To maintain safety in school environment, we need to maintain open communication between the parents and the teachers. The teachers need to be aware of this, and sensitive to the system as a whole and how it is affecting the learner's development. And we also need to design the learning environment to accommodate different abilities and interests, because they're all empowered differently. Let us all work together to build strong partnership for sustained safety. In conclusion, children's safety in the school environment calls for measures to be undertaken by the learners, the staff, the parents and guardians, and other stakeholders to either minimize or eliminate risky conditions or threats that may cause accidents, body injury, as well as emotional and psychological distress. The end.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. You can go to that question for the Ampolale. It was about grade 1 to boarding school, and then the issue of boys only, girls only versus mixed schools.
Yeah. I also would like to hear from those participating in this morning show. What do they think?
We actually have a few minutes.
Yeah. What's your advice on taking grade 1 pupil to boarding school? As an expert, what's your take on mixed schools as versus boys and girls schools on child performance in school? Grade 1, it's too early. That's my opinion. I don't know what others people think, but grade 1 pupil for a boarding school is too early. They're still too young. Other people may be of different opinions. Mixed schools, it's good for the boys and girls to mingle. I remember I'm a mother of boys only. So I remember one educator who told me, Elsie, these children need to mix with other girls to know how to survive in this world. So I guess it varies from one family to another. So it's very personal choices. This is a choice that is made on a personal level. So I can't really tell people what to do. But from a personal point of view, for me, mixed schools is important for the development, holistic development of this child. I can see somebody has written something. I don't know.
Is there any other question we can perhaps handle one or two more because of time? Somebody can put in a chat, or if you wish to verbalize, we have a minute. Yes.
Yeah, somebody has also said it depends on push factors. I believe the parent has adequate reason why. Yes, because there are some parents who work out of the country. And where they are, they don't have schools where they can take the child. So we've seen incidences of where they bring the children to boarding school simply because they work in places where they cannot take the children, and there's nobody here to take care of the child for them.
Okay. That's great. It's a good debate. Most of us, if a parent is available, I think it's prudent to have your child grade 1, grade 2, perhaps grade 5 you can consider. Noel?
I think there's just something that's really caught my eyes the last maybe one year or something. I went to boarding school, or rather my family, after my dad retired, we went back to Western Kenya, and then maybe those of us who are last borns, ukunyuma, we went to boarding school pretty early. And one thing I noticed is that we are so detached. because you're in boarding school, you're not used to your family, and yet, and again, you were in different boarding schools. So you realize that you're not that attached to your family. Yes, they're your family, but you're used to living your own life in this cocoon. So even when you come at home, you're feeling like, I think I need to go back to school. I'm out of place, because you did not have so much time even to bond and to relate with your family members. And I thought it was me alone until I even saw people online. There was a really heated debate online about boarding school and day school. And I know we are not talking about that here, but I'm just responding to that, to the person who said just taking a grade one people to boarding school, we become so detached. And I think that is why in life, even right now, I detach so easily. Like, uh, even when I don't talk to a friend or I don't talk to people, I'm very much okay with that, which is not a very good thing. Yeah. So we still have 3 minutes. Maybe I will leave Dr. Eda. I have a minute. I can see your hand is up, Dr. Eda.
Presentation. Wanted to add in my 2 cents because I've just come from a life advocate training in Mombasa, and one of the greatest concerns was the LGBTQ recruitment of students. And you had mentioned, Elsie, about the vetting of the staff, because some of the recruitment is actually done by teachers who are recruited by the NGOs. So they want to give a narrative that people were born that way, but actually it's active recruitment. And the people who, the parents who bring their children to me usually have something in common. Those ones who were afflicted by the LGBTQ ideology. One is that they have access to phones at a very early age with access to the internet, and there's no parenting gap. So the minute you have a child who's access to the phone, to the internet, and you're not, you don't have a close relationship that to guide them on sexuality, recipe, so yeah, vetting of the staff. And like Noella said, these children definitely they develop a self-sufficiency, and it's called attachment trauma. So when you're removed from your parents at an early age, then you develop an attachment style which is called avoidant dismissive, and you find it very easy to detach from people because you had to sort out your own problems from being in a boarding school. But having said that, it sounds like you have a very good school, Elsie, especially for those parents who don't have a choice. But personally, if you have a choice, it's a good idea to take your children to day schools if you can. I remember bonding with my children very much in the car, dropping them to school and bringing them home. So people were laughing at us, saying, "How can you be? Boarding schools are there. Why don't you just drop them there?" But we decided to take our children to school, from actually nursery school to Form 6. So we bonded a lot, and they're still very close to us. So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Eda. Olao Eunice. After Olao Eunice, kindly is Antonia in the house. Kindly prepare to give a vote of thanks to Elsie Kagimbi.
Thanks.
Oh,
Thanks very much for the presentation. I just would like to say that I know parents have different reasons to taking the children early to boarding school, but one thing that they do not know is what's happening in the mind of a child when they're withdrawn from their home to school, a boarding school for that matter. And therefore, the child interference with their attachment as they grow becomes so evident. And because the children adjust and cope, people always think that they are doing well. but they are making do with what has been presented to them without looking at what are the consequences of the mental health or other relationships that these children will get into as they grow. So I think that the school is doing very well, but I would like the school to probably look at what program do they have of onboarding these children, the onboarding processes of these children when they come, regardless of whether their parents are working out of the country or sick, or the parents have died, and therefore the relatives have decided, let's give this child a better school environment. Because those are some of the things that happens. It's the best that the parents or the adults can do in the life of that child. But what's happening in the mind of that child, nobody has access to. And the child can censor what they want you to know. And most of the time, the school is progressing. So the child would be thinking of this today. Next week, they have another thing coming up, but there is nobody to follow up. And the system is working and the programs are working. And the child learns that, let me tag along, and they go. So
Very
I think
true.
it's important to address that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very, very
May
true.
I
Thank
respond
you
to
so
that? May I respond to that? One of the things we do at Mount Longonot schools, if I may be allowed to say, is that parents have access to the children at any time. So they can call and talk to their children at any time, day or night. Of course, at night, there's a limit, but during the day, they can call and they have access to their children. So talking to the children is very easy. And we also have an onboarding process. Thank you for the children who come there. And it's a day and boarding school.
Thank you so much, Elsie. I'll see you, Ukonyuma. I'll get your number and speak to you. So I'm not sure if Antonia is there, but Dr. Melvin,
David.
can you kindly give a vote of thanks?
Sorry, David had 3 questions he's saying that needed to be addressed, and I don't want him to leave feeling like he's not.
We are 3 minutes late.
Okay.
I said to him, you can, well, we can just close this official part. You just stay behind a bit, and then you are going to address that. Also, Elsie, you can put your contacts there. You haven't put contacts for people who may want further consultation.
I'll do that.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much. Dr. Melvin?
Thank you so much, Elsie, for that wonderful talk, which is really close to my heart and the hearts of all parents in this meeting, because it would appear that even though there are guidelines, schools are not following those health and safety guidelines. So this was a very timely conversation that you've had with us at the beginning of the year, and we can't thank you enough. You are clearly an expert in the field. You are practicing what you preach, and these are the kind of Power Monday members that we are looking for actively. So on behalf of the entire team at Power Monday, which includes Lady Noel, all the way in Diani, Antonia Mutunga, and OPP, as well as all the other regular members of Power Monday, we want to thank you very much. We want to thank the background crew for supporting you, but we want to thank you so much for sharing your experience, your wisdom, and your practice with us. And we hope to see you here in future. Thank you so much. Over to you, Lady Noel.
Thank you, Melvin. It was an honor.
Somebody can possibly pray for us.
Thank you so much. Now it's not Dr. Melvin, it is Professor Melvin. Sorry about that. So who wants to pray for us? Any volunteer? Now you're not introducing Power Monday. Neither are you moderating. Neither are you saying a point. Please just pray. Tutakukumbukaje? Just pray. Whoever wants to pray, pray.
Okay.